Hello, and welcome to the Foundation of Faith series, The Bridge Builder's Code, Volume 1, by Jenny Jo Bingham. Today we'll be reading Chapter 17, The Bridge Walk. No flyers, no speeches, just whispers, and somehow that was enough. By the time the sun rose over Silver Ridge, people were already lining the path. They came in boots and Sunday shoes, with babies on hips and coffee in hand. Some came to celebrate, some came to make peace with the past, some came just to see if the thing would hold. Jake stood at the mouth of the bridge in a faded denim jacket, the same one he used to wear when helping his dad on weekends. It still smelled faintly of sawdust and engine oil. And maybe, just maybe, the kind of courage you only inherit. Marcus stood beside him, arms crossed. Grace and Evan flanked the opposite end, making sure the path was clear. Walt paced with his usual grunt and mutter rhythm. Clara stood near the middle with a small camera, documenting quietly. Even Sylvia Winston showed up. She didn't say a word. Just stood beside Jenny Barlow, who carried a fresh-baked pie like it could bridge a few things all on its own. And then came the kids, Noah and Elena Reyes, leading a group of little ones, hard hats crooked on their heads, waving hand-painted signs. Thank you, Jake. Bridges bring us together, and you can't catch us, Victor. That one made Marcus snort. Jake took one small step forward. It felt like the longest stride of his life. He reached out, brushed his fingers along the beam that had nearly broken him, and then took another step. The others followed. First Marcus, then Grace, then Evan, then the crowd. Feet thudded softly against the planks. Wood flexed gently beneath weight and memory. Some people whispered prayers. Some walked in silence. Some laughed. A few wept. And somewhere in the middle of it all, Jake looked up and saw Clara watching him, not as a reporter, but as someone who had started to believe again. He nodded. She lifted her camera. Click. When they reached the center of the bridge, the people stopped, not because they had to, but because it felt right. Jake turned toward them, not to give a speech, but simply to say, this was never about wood. He held up his father's journal. This was about what connects us and who we choose to be on either side. No applause followed, just stillness. Then Jenny Barlow called out, well, are we going to walk the rest of it or stand here like emotional scarecrows? Laughter rolled like a tide, and the crowd moved again. By the time Jake reached the far end, the river behind him shimmered with morning light, and the road ahead finally looked clear. Not perfect, but walkable. And for the first time in years, he felt the tug of hope without the pull of regret. Grace had walked to the exit, leaning casually against the last beam, arms folded. When Jake passed her, she fell into step beside him. You did it, she said softly. We did, he replied. They walked in step for a few beats before she asked quieter now. So, what now? You heading home? Jake looked ahead, then down at the bridge beneath their feet. It took me long enough to see it, but this is home. Grace nodded slowly, like she was letting the answer settle somewhere deeper than her ears. She spent months keeping a careful distance, just close enough to help, far enough not to hope, because Jake had left before, without warning, without looking back, and she wasn't about to build something on shifting ground. But now, she bumped her shoulder lightly against his. You know, I've always liked a good foundation. Jake glanced over, caught by the flicker of mischief in her smile. And maybe, just maybe, something more. He didn't press, but he noticed, and this time she didn't look away. They walked on, the bridge behind them, and something unwritten just ahead. Marcus fell into step on Jake's other side, silent for a moment before muttering, You did good, little brother. Jake smiled without answering. Behind them, Evan called out, Don't get used to all this emotion. I'm still charging you for labor. Jake chuckled and tossed back. What are you talking about? You run on caffeine. You're rich already. And just like that, the moment lightened, but it didn't lose its weight. He whispered, Not for anyone else, just for himself. This is where it begins. Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed it, and we look forward to seeing you again. Seeing you again next time. Have a great day.